everyone. Welcome back to Next Chapter Chats, the podcast that's here to help you find purpose and feel great as we navigate this next chapter. If you're thinking about it, we're talking about it. I'm your host. My name is Pat Brown. Today's episode is especially special. We're starting season 3, and we have some thrilling changes to discuss. The first change, I'm excited to introduce our new co-host and the executive director of the new Next Chapter Chats not-for-profit, Penelope Mathieson. I told you there were some exciting changes. Penelope will bring so much to the show. Her passion for life is obvious. You're going to love this woman. She is so full of energy and ideas. Penelope, are you ready for this?
So ready. Yes. And I think there are millions of women ready for this, ready to join us on this journey.
I think
this is pretty exciting. I guess I should talk about how we met.
That would be
how this came to be.
Yeah.
So I was about to turn 70, and I was having lunch with some old colleagues, and who I hadn't seen in quite a few years. And I said, you know what? I can't get a contract to save my life. There's so much judgment around ageism. And it's really frustrating.
Yes.
So I said, I think I'll start a podcast so I can rebrand myself, put myself out there. And Dougie said, darling, you have to meet my friend Pat Brown. You two, oh my God, you two will be best friends. Here we are. How many months later? Less than a year.
Less than a year, not quite about 6, I think.
Yeah, about 6 months later. And here we are joining forces. Me joining Next Chapter Chats as co-host and now executive director, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So very quickly, my background is corporate for 35 years, and it was through that journey of corporate that I found myself really actively volunteering, but the more I did, the more I was able to serve. And by that, what I mean is I was invited to large organizations to join their fundraising committees. And I had amazing success. I was able to find lots of money, helped planning events, which I loved. Again, because of the skills that I brought, it really helped to elevate those organizations. So this progressed over a number of years. And the more I did, the more I recognized that I was getting more joy out of my volunteering than I was in my very big corporate life. And although the money was great, I looked haggard. I was on a flight at least every 3 weeks, usually every 2 weeks. Couldn't keep a relationship. And I really started questioning my purpose, my life purpose.
Yes.
Long story short, I thought, I'm going to investigate this nonprofit world out there. So I left corporate, started consulting to pay the bills, went back to night school to get my accreditation as a fundraising professional.
Good. That's putting your money where your mouth is.
And all along, people saying, are you nuts?
Yeah.
Do you know what you're doing at this stage in life, Penelope? You're in your 50s. It's so dangerous, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'm so grateful that I have.
It's amazing. And as we go through the discussion, you're going to find out more and more about what Penelope is bringing to Next Chapter Chats.
Thank you.
And how we are evolving into something much more than a conversation that needs to be had.
Yes.
And we will continue to have guests who will bring their own experiences and their own attitudes, perspectives to the program. But right now, we're just going to talk about us. So a little bit of background. I started Next Chapter Chats because I was suddenly out of a job during COVID and had no clear path to a future. At the time, all of us were kind of sitting around not knowing what to do, but I was talking to a lot of other women who were similar in age. At that point, I was 64. And they were saying, well, what next? Whether they were choosing to retire, whether they had found ways to work remotely, it didn't matter. It was like the future is this amorphous ball, this gas. I don't know what it is. I can't see.
And naturally, we have fear when we're looking, many of us have fear when we're looking at the unknown.
Well, season 1 really brought clarity to that because by the end of season 1, I really understood by talking to everybody that what our biggest challenge was that we couldn't see ourselves aging because we didn't see women age.
Of course.
It was priceless. I asked AI, I should bring this to you. I asked AI to give me a picture of an attractive 65-year-old woman.
And
the woman that was fed back to me, I'm going to align with more like somebody who's in her late 80s, early 90s.
you showed me that picture. You asked me how old I thought she was, and I said at least 85.
Yeah,
I remember.
Least. But that was because AI learns from the world.
Yes.
It doesn't have a personality of its own. And it fed this to me as being what they think somebody who's in their mid-60s
should look like.
So really, really wanted to go after the concept of we need to find aging. I need to find women like you. You're 4 years older than me. Look amazing, but the energy and the drive and the dedication to keep yourself fit and healthy, that's what I need to see, because then I know that I can look into the future and say, yeah,
I can do that.
I can do that. So that was season 1. By season 2, we started to now talk about women's health and started to understand how much we don't know about this, but sadly, how much medicine doesn't know about this.
And it's like, gosh, yes.
Everybody is going to go through or has gone through perimenopause into menopause.
Fun times.
Big point. Menopause is not a day. It is the rest of your life. We'll all go through menopause. Mm-hmm. Some will be affected more so than others. Mm-hmm. I understand you had it pretty good.
I did. With the exception of migraines, which was the drop in estrogen, which impacted, regular migraines monthly, and I wouldn't even say they were hot flashes. They were like warm spells.
God, I hate you from another movie.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Well, it's
but we're all unique. We
are.
all have different experiences, and there isn't enough research to state if you exercise this much and do these activities and eat this diet. Sure, healthy lifestyles will always lend itself on the better side of health.
Yes.
But there's no evidential proof to support that. And so we're really creating this pathway forward.
It is. And there is so much that I've learned just by talking to friends and other women that I've met. Number one issue apparently for women, didn't have a clue, is heart. And heart
exactly.
health. More women apparently will die from heart issues than all cancers combined.
Exactly. That is shocking.
Didn't know anything about this. I don't know anything about how to have one's heart checked. I don't know whether the feelings of a little bit of a rushing heart and coughing to bring it down is normal. Mm-hmm. Or is it something I should be concerned about?
Yeah.
And how do I present these symptoms to a doctor so that they would actually listen to me? I don't know these things.
I won't get started on that comment that your doctor should actually be able to diagnose that.
Yeah.
Another topic.
It's another topic. I mean, I have a great doctor, but she sees me as somebody who's very fit and very healthy, and you've got,
Next,
okay? So we did our first podcast together. You've already talked about your switch from corporate into
to the non-for-profit.
What you didn't say is that you were actually the senior officer at an international company for a lot of years.
Yes.
So you'd climbed the ladder.
Yes.
You had a great salary.
Yes. And benefits.
And benefits. And then you decided to go into philanthropic efforts. That actually resonated really well with our audience. They loved your dedication to philanthropy, to giving back. It's now been 10 years plus A little over 10 years. So what charities have you been involved with, and what specifically have you been able to do with them?
Great question. That's a week-long answer, so I'm going to condense it. It took me a while to rebrand and remarket myself. And fortunately, a wonderful, wonderful executive director with the Alzheimer's Foundation found me on LinkedIn. And there was something about my skill sets from corporate that they needed.
Okay.
And he contacted me. And so I explained that I was transitioning from corporate to nonprofit. And it became my first gig. And I was so grateful for the opportunity. You have to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. It was very low paying. Mm-hmm. It was a sort of intermediate, maybe senior-ish role. But it didn't matter. It got me in the door.
Yes.
So the reason that I was hired was something that they hadn't done before, which was community engagement. They hadn't done in that particular region.
Okay.
So the community engagement was really to literally get into community and make them aware of education, awareness around Alzheimer's. Okay. At the same time looking for volunteers, because a lot of organizations, mm-hmm. nonprofits, charities are 50% staffed by volunteers, some. So what I did, I'm also a yoga instructor.
Why am I not surprised?
Just because I had an opportunity to learn and mm-hmm. I love to learn, and so I did. Mm-hmm. I don't actually practice it much these days. Anyway, I digress. So I met with a number of yoga studios in the region, in the area, told them our story. They were delighted to hear it. They wanted to know how they could help.
Fantastic.
And through this journey, what I uncovered was that it was actually not the Alzheimer's patients, but it was the caregivers that were so maxed, so stressed, so burnt out. Mm-hmm. I wanted to create a program specifically for caregivers to give them something back. And mm-hmm. so we created a series of yoga studios who would offer free classes.
Fantastic.
At different times, on different days of the week, to suit the consensus of those individuals, and really just give them a chance to recharge their batteries, take a little time for them, get a little bit of healthy benefits at the same time.
So you got community involvement.
Yeah.
You got different businesses to give back to the community.
And to that note, because different businesses supported us, they provided treats, they provided lunches, everyone got involved. And
that's fantastic.
It is. And so that gave me the momentum mm-hmm. and the desire to just keep going.
Yes.
That was a contract, mm-hmm. As many positions are. So that was a short-term contract of about a year. I was there actually on a grant. They had mm-hmm. received a one-time grant for this period of time to accomplish this, which I did. So from there, I was very fortunate to be hired by Canadian Blood Services.
Okay.
So mega organization, much better budgets, greater resources, mm-hmm. And a really big story. And it's mm-hmm. those big stories that as consumers, we often only know like 5% of the story.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know all the layers. So that was very similar. It was fundraising, but it was also community engagement and events.
Okay, so what did you do there?
So I actually teamed up with the Mississauga Marathon.
Okay.
So Canadian Blood Services had never officially participated in any community event. And this would have been the first, I know.
Okay.
This would have been the first. And as it turns out, our CEO was a marathon runner.
Oh, even better.
So got him on board. Needless to say, his fundraising skills were off the charts because he was CEO. So there was a nice 6 figures. And that also attracted a lot of sponsors. It's how you present these. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I love is going into an organization almost as a canvas. So you learn what is, what's missing, what mm-hmm. could be, and what shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. And so applying those skills, they're corporate skills, they're nonprofit skills, they're just life skills.
Yes.
But being able to apply those with the confidence of knowing that you can look at a bigger picture mm-hmm. and that you will find the funding for it was incredibly rewarding. So that year, which I think was 2017 if I recall, that year, Canadian Blood Services, who competed for the first time in the Mississauga Marathon, which was a charity run, 16 other participants, we became number one. We were the number one fundraiser.
Cool.
I know. We had the most sponsors. It was just amazing. So,
and the ability to get the name out into the community is exponential.
Exactly. So I became known as this girl, woman, person who could create these events or align with events. But I wanted to do more. And actually what I really, really love to do is to fundraise, which is why I went back to night school to get accreditation. And I'm really good with it. I mean, I love working in, minimally six-figure donors. So that was an absolute joy. From there, that was also a contract. From there, I went to the Art Gallery of Mississauga, where I had been serving on the board.
Okay.
There was a change. There was an issue with the then director/curator, a negative issue. I won't go into details.
Don't need to.
So our board chair resigned, called me the night before and said, Penelope, you're going to hate me for this. You're going to tell me to FO. But I am resigning. The next day was our board meeting, or that evening. And I'd like to put your name forward. And I said, I can't take this on. But I did. So I took it on. I was able to get into the weeds of what went wrong in the organization, determine what it was, go to our funders, fix it, start rebranding. And at that point I went, this is too much. I am working full time with Canadian Blood Services while serving on this board, which is roughly, it was 25 to 30 hours a week on top of a full-time senior role. Little unmanageable. I said, you need to hire an executive director, or at least an interim. So the board unanimously appointed me to that role, which meant I had to resign from the board because I already knew the books. I knew the organization. I could just go in and fix. So all of these occasions led me to new adventures. It's like, I didn't know I was such a good fixer. I didn't know I was so good at creating events. I didn't know I was so good at give me a goal and no tools and I'll figure out how to get there. So it just inspired me to do more. And what I found I could also do was gather people along the way and get them excited about the organization, about possibly becoming a member of the art gallery, about possibly donating to the art gallery, purchasing art from the gallery. So all of these things led to profitability. Probably the wrong choice of words. So all of these things led to that path.
Success of the organization. Now, the reason I wanted you to go through all of that is so that we can talk to our listeners about where we're planning to go.
Good.
Next Chapter Chats is going to continue to be a conversation, as we have to have, with as many women as we can find talking about their passions in life. We talked about this for the longest time. I call it successful aging. I was sort of held to task over that by a past guest, saying that if we aging, we are successful. But I'm going to say that there's a little bit more to my journey in this process. I'm now 60, almost 67.
It's a good number.
It's a good number. It's just a number now.
It's just a number.
But it's a number I'm not afraid of.
Good.
And it's a number I'm not afraid of because I am getting to see representation.
Yes.
I am speaking to people who are helping with the health issues.
Yes.
And it has given me the passion, which is bringing all of this to you, that gets me up in the morning. And that really is, in my view, the 3 pillars of successful aging. We need to look after our health. So health physically, health mentally, what we eat, what we do to stay mobile, and mobility and stability and the ability to get yourself off the floor, which is a challenge because I've got bad knees. I can bend at the waist and touch the floor, but don't ask me to do a squat. So health is important, but there's many aspects to health. That's the physical side. We also need to talk about the emotional and the social side. Call it social health.
Yes.
Where as we age, it's always been important in our lives. But as we age, and I think even more importantly, as we age as women, we need to have community. We need to be involved in our community. We need to have interaction with people. We need to have interaction with people of all ages. We don't pull ourselves back. Don't isolate. We've just left the corporate world.
I was just going to say, So if you've just been downsized
Yep.
or retired or whatever, so you've had this pattern for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And your sense of purpose, and it has consumed the bulk of our lives, more so than our family lives.
Absolutely.
And then it stops. We have to continue.
We have to find something to
We have
continue
to
with.
find purpose.
Yes.
We have to find people. We have to find our passion. What gives us joy? What makes us happy?
We so need to have a reason to get up in the morning.
Yes.
It's something that came through to me so much over the last few years.
Yes, me too.
I am no longer having to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to be at the gym. That was my thing. Every day, I think I got up at 5:30. I had to be at the gym at 6. I had a community within the gym.
Yes.
And then I came home, did the old shower, shave, and shave, whatever, and head off to work, which gives you another community.
Another community.
And then I'd meet up with friends. And there's another community.
Yes.
But all of this was very structured.
Yes. And it all centered around work.
It did. And then once you're gone from that,
Yeah.
everything changes.
Yes.
The simple things, like look at your wardrobe. How many pairs of black pants do you need?
Far too many.
How many pairs of black pants do I wear now? Yeah, maybe one. I'm living in blue jeans. That's my world.
Because you can.
Exactly. So everything changed.
Yeah.
I still have all of these lovely dresses.
Yes.
I don't
And
know when
shoes
I'm
and
ever
suits.
going to wear them all. Earlier this year, my husband and I downsized big time.
Yes,
and I
you
couldn't
did.
take my whole wardrobe with me. And that was for me, that was important because along with Next Chapter, it was also a whole mindset
Letting go.
that we had to let go and we had to
Yes.
change. And that we're now not looking at the past.
Yes.
I'm not
looking
doing.
to
I'm
the
looking
future.
to the future. I'm not regretting what we don't have. I'm looking for new adventures.
Yeah.
We all need to do this.
Yeah.
Nobody has to do it as dramatically as I did, but we all need to do this. We need to find the passion that says, I have to wake up tomorrow and do something.
Yes. Keep going.
So that kind of leads us into where you brought this idea to me. You've done a lot of charity work. You've noted the personal benefits that you've received from giving back. So what was one of the biggest benefit that you felt personally from taking that step?
Great question. I would say it's twofold. Absolutely, it's fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
It feeds purpose. Mm-hmm. It's a profound sense of purpose. It's community, but it's also joy. For me, the joy is I serve on the board of directors for the Red Door Family Shelter. So a sense of joy. We just had coldest night of the year last weekend.
How did that go?
We exceeded our targets by 123%. Well, we exceeded by 23%.
Okay.
We indexed at 123. So we raised just over $100,000, $123,000 to be exact. And I just received a check from a neighbor yesterday after the event to say, sorry, the money's still coming in.
Oh, yeah.
But what it does when you see the change that brings to the homeless, to the hungry, to the impoverished, to those marginalized,
Which is huge, yeah.
heartwarming. And I urge and encourage everyone to just try it. Because if you get that feeling, it never leaves.
So
and when you know that you are purposeful and
Yep.
purpose-filled and that you can do more to improve somebody's life is a powerful thing, or an animal's life, or the planet, whatever it is that you want to contribute to. But when you can be a small part in this big, not so beautiful pond anymore, it is so rewarding.
So that actually really segues nicely into what we started this by saying that you're going to be the executive director
Yes.
of the not-for-profit Next Chapter
Yes.
Chats.
Yes.
So where do you see Next Chapter Chats going, and why is this important to everybody?
Thank you. Very important question. So I had proposed to you that we reestablish Next Chapter Chats and become a nonprofit or a not-for-profit. And the purpose of that is because we want to literally walk the talk. We talk about sense of purpose, passion, community. But how? When you've left, when you've left a lifestyle that's ingrained in you for decades, that is the number one factor in your life. And it's not a transition to stop. You go from full-time to stop. Some people have the luxury of transitioning to part-time. But many of us went from full-time to stop, and then what? So rather than decline, I'm inclined to lift others. And it's an amazing feeling.
Oh, good fun.
Good segue. So what occurred to me was if we could reestablish Next Chapter Chats as a nonprofit, collaborate with like-minded women's health organizations, physical health, mental health, social health. If we could align with those organizations, even the Royal LePage Shelter Foundation, who we're also in conversation with, we now, not only do we have a purpose, Next Chapter Chats, all of our audience have an opportunity to engage in whatever way that they choose, whether they wish to mentor, volunteer, consult. There are so many options. And so when you have purpose, it feeds the more aspect. You know, when you taste something that's really, really good and you think I shouldn't have more, but I will. Yeah. It's you know, the parallel is there. It truly is. When you get that sense of making a difference, improving someone's livelihood, it's a powerful tool.
So on that note, just to be clear or clarify for people, what we're talking about is using this platform to raise awareness of women's health initiatives.
Educate.
I'm going to say mature women's health initiatives.
Yes.
There's limited funding that goes into women's health research as it is.
So limited.
But there's almost zero, like on the scale of 100%, it's down to very low.
Zero.
That has gone into mature women's health.
Precisely.
So we want to get up on that platform.
Yes.
But we also want to help people engage.
Yes.
And I have heard from many of our listeners that they've got time.
Yeah.
They've got skills. They've had great skills. These are largely very successful women who would like to give back. Yeah. They would like to be involved. And
where do they start?
Yeah, they're finding it difficult to find a way into that network.
Yes.
If you were somebody who took time during your career to volunteer and do things, then you've already found your way in. But if you're somebody who has, you've raised kids, you've had a role outside of the house, you've had a whole house to look after, your time has been saturated. But now you've got this bulk of time that you would have normally given to your job. And maybe you don't want to do 100% of that. Maybe you just want to do 15% of that time. But where do you go? How do I make my skills of value to somebody else?
Great question.
And that's what we would like to do with Next Chapter Chats.
So what we will do with the organizations with whom we partner, such as the Royal LePage Shelter Foundation, with those organizations, we will have special access for Next Chapter Chats. And what I mean by that is there is a way to vet volunteers without a 6-page online form to turn them off after page 2. So we propose that the organizations with whom we align, we're asking them to give consideration to making it more welcoming than pushing people away. So make it inviting, make it simple.
Yes.
So we can pre-qualify if they want. We can pre-qualify. It's not an issue. But the point being, when you make the process simplified, you are likely to attract more. So that's number one. Secondly, there's a lot of options around volunteering and mentorship, whether it is an hour a day or an hour a week or 20 hours a week. It's your choice. You sign up for something that serves both. It's mutually beneficial. So you're getting something out of it and the organization is getting something out of it. But what I think is the great value that we bring with our audience most are women like us who have been senior executives, retired or downsized, no longer in the workforce. Well, you and I both are, but we're consulting in the workforce. So when you have that kind of an audience, they're powerful. They bring skills to the nonprofit organizations, as I did, as many others before me have, and will continue to do, I hope. And by applying those assets free of charge to an organization that's struggling, what a powerful way of living.
So our audience just needs to listen for a while, and we will be launching a new website.
Yes.
Where people can put in their hand up and say, I would like to volunteer, and this is where I live, and this is the sort of things that I'm interested in.
We see if even recommend.
Yeah, see if we can find something that works. It'll be a bit of a stumbling start.
Yeah,
because
we'll find our way.
We'll find our way. This isn't about asking for people for money.
No.
This is about providing a service, because we really need to make sure that everybody has access to that social health side of things, where there's a purpose, there's a reason to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
That is something that I have seen personally, especially in older women who, they've gone from, I'm going to give you the example of going to live in an older home, mature person's home, retirement home.
Retirement residence,
where it sounds wonderful. Somebody else does the house cleaning for you. Somebody else does the laundry for you. Somebody else does the cooking for you. You have lots of social activities that you can be part of. It's actually not as wonderful as it sounds.
No, it isn't.
Because you're sitting there going, well, I don't have to clean. I don't have to cook.
My space is much smaller than I'm used to.
My space is smaller, but even aside from that, it was just like, well, what is my purpose?
Exactly.
If you don't want to be involved in whatever is happening within the community, what is my purpose?
Exactly.
You've taken away the independence of it all. So I think it's something that we really need to see it through, and I think it's such a wonderful idea.
Thank you.
So just wait, we will be out there for that. So now that we're talking about what we're doing, I want to talk about the concept of aging, not as something to be feared, but aging as a superpower.
Absolutely.
You brought this to me, and I said, I am, as I said, almost 67. I am a stronger, happier, healthier, with bad knees woman than I was at 62 or 60. And part of that is that at this age, I've got beyond the angst of comparison, the mental side of things. I have seen my own value.
Yes.
Which was always hidden behind the concept that I wasn't perfect and that you needed perfection to be good.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, well, nobody can do it.
Exactly.
It's silly, but that's still something that was part of who I was. So now we're talking about owning myself, being happy in myself, probably wearing a lot of blue jeans and not three-piece suits. But it is a superpower that I've had the opportunity to embrace because I have this time in my life. That's my story. What does aging mean to you?
Gosh, it reads something different to me now than it did 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
Okay.
And I think that's something to be mindful of. You've heard me talk about ageism and how I find it so offensive only because I think it's misunderstood and also misrepresented. I think acceptance is a big thing, but the acceptance starts with ourselves.
Yes.
When we accept ourselves, I'm 70. I am seeing the changes in my lines, my skin, my body, my energy level, which is still really great.
Good.
But I'm feeling it, it's probably 10 to 20% less. So I'm feeling those, but I own them. And so you adjust accordingly, do what you can. I think aging is very much a gift. To live another day or week or month or 50 years is a gift. We should embrace that and not feel threatened by it. And as soon as we can face aging by pushing, maybe we put the blinders on, pushing aside how we physically have changed. That's an obvious, that's an obvious part of evolution. It happens.
Yep.
When you remove that from the equation, my God, life is fabulous because you feel better about yourself, your energy level, your accomplishments, your willingness to help others, your joy, your love of life. You just feel so much better about it. Remove that from the equation. I think a lot of women fear aging because of physical perception.
Well, do you think it really goes back to, again, part of our age?
Yeah.
It's conditioning, but we are from an era where women generally
Are supposed to look a certain way.
well, they were valued by looking a certain way.
Exactly. And our value is so much greater than our look. In fact,
Should be.
our looks should be the smallest part of our value,
Yes.
not the greatest asset. And so I think when we can make that adjustment, we become more accepting of what lies ahead. The second thing is, I'm 70. This is my final chapter.
Yes.
I want to make it my best.
Cool.
I don't fear it. It's here.
Okay.
So what happens? Be open to it. Some of it's going to be great. Some of it's going to be good. Some of it's going to be crappy.
Yep.
But you know what? Balance.
Finding the balance is
Huge.
Again, we go back to the 3 levels of successful aging because you need the tripod to have balance, to have stability.
Do you know, one of the things, sorry for interrupting, one of the things I found, and I think you do this as well, in the days when we were interviewing team members, I've always asked about their curiosity because to me, curiosity is a skill.
It's number one
Thank
thing.
you.
You got to have curiosity.
You have to have curiosity. And as we age, as we progress, keep that curiosity because it is a strength. Staying curious keeps us interested and it keeps us interesting.
Yes.
And when we have that, those are all attractors of community.
You do. And I'm going to say, because the world right now is a very different sort of place.
A little volatile.
If you're not somebody who's curious about politics, that doesn't have to be all you're curious about.
Exactly.
Maybe you're curious about how to make something new.
Yes.
Maybe you're curious about finding new places to see.
A different hairstyle.
There's lots out there. It's not about being involved in some of the stuff that's, quite frankly, going to get a lot of people scared and a lot of people down.
Yes.
We need to stay involved in all parts of our lives.
Yeah.
And that's is the superpower of aging.
Yes.
Is staying involved. Is staying so that you're looking forward,
Yes.
not looking back.
Accepting. Accepting this is where we are.
Yes.
Love it.
This is where we are. There are things to really love about it.
Yeah.
And you're right. I don't look the same as I did 3 years ago.
None of us do.
You know, I could just... I still dye my hair. This morning I found out that I'm actually totally white right here. This is not a good thing.
Known.
That's because I dye my hair. Thank you, Herbal Essence. So this is where we're going. This is just the first step.
Yeah.
We will continue to bring in new people to talk to, but we will be building more and more with Next Chapter Chats website, the Next Chapter Chats blog. So if you haven't signed up, please go and sign up. If you are watching us through YouTube, please make sure you like us and subscribe. That would be fantastic. It also helps us find some interesting people to talk to because they're wanting to know what their audience is. On that note, I want to say Next Chapter Chats is created and hosted by me, Pat Brown, and by Penelope Mathieson. Next Chapter Chats is grateful for our supporting sponsor, Finney Real Estate and Finney Finds.
And we're a great find.
We are. Thank you.